And now for someone completely different. Hello, Fancy Action Now fans. This is El Viejo Toro in the beautiful Zen Studios. And I'm here to talk about my boycott of Mass Effect Andromeda. Regretfully, I will not be purchasing this game. Everything that I have seen, official, unofficial, I know, I may be accused of joining a bandwagon. But like many of you, and for some reason my intuition, I think, told me that I would not be buying Andromeda, and I'm getting very, very circumspect over what I purchase and what I do not, particularly in the new scene. The one game that was, the two new games that I have purchased, both by Bethesda, were Doom, extremely high quality, polished, developed game. Flawless execution on that game by Bethesda. Some of the smoothest movement and first-person shooting that I have ever enjoyed. So high praise for Doom on the PS4 and or the Xbox One. Or PC. I have PC and PS4 versions. Additionally, I've purchased Skyrim the Remastered. And I paid $30, which is honestly for a game that big, even for a remaster, was good. And I bought it for the Xbox One, and I've been enjoying some of the Xbox One mods and things like that. So still the same game, no real additional content there, except for the mods, and even within the mods, there are some levels and some new quests and things like that. So I'm eager to see some of that. So I'm currently in the, the Forbidden City? I'm playing through that mod. So that's an interesting time paradox storyline. Very interesting stuff, which I love that kind of thing. So, but Andromeda. And again, it's funny. I just watched a Andromeda hate video, or, everything wrong with Andromeda. And it's like a list, it's like ding, 80 things, 81 things. It's like picks out every storyline flaw, facial animations, walking rhythms. And, I actually watched two hate videos. Or, no, I would say hate, but I would say negative videos on Andromeda. They both purchased the game and they both played the game. I will do neither one. And it is a protest. It is kind of a boycott. One, quality. I respect good quality. That respects my hard-earned dollar that you lay down for some of these games. So, charging $60 for that game, for Andromeda, when it is not ready for prime time. They had plenty of time, they had a sufficient budget, and they made some hiring decisions, they made some political decisions internally that compromised the quality of their product. And the market must teach Bioware why that is a mistake. When you're in a corporation or a company, you're producing a product for a customer, the politics of that customer, typically are not going to factor in, unless it's a political game. Battlefield, these kind of things, even Call of Duty, where it talks, geopolitical things. There are heavy political elements in these games. And that's fine. People know what they're getting. They really want the kind of the package, and the geopolitical stuff is an interesting theme to run around with a gun and shoot people. It's all basically becomes the same thing. Just like Sniper Zombie Army. Let's take the sniper mechanic. Let's make it. Let's include zombies and the occult, and go for some of that Doom money. And hey, it worked. Call of Duty zombies, all that stuff. But let's throw zombies at it. So they did that. Call of Duty is a military first-person shooter / simulator of combat. And they throw zombies in there, okay? Because they're appealing to their client base. They knew their client base liked zombies. There's a lot of popular zombie games. And as a business, they said, look, people love zombies. Zombies are big right now. We've got this shooter. Shooters and zombies go together. Throw some zombies in there. That's what our customers want. And they're right. We do want that. Zombie, the Nazi zombie army sniper game. I have it. I bought it, and I enjoy that game. It's tough as nails, though. And Call of Duty Zombies and all that stuff I have not played yet. I'd like to, and I probably will at some point. But, whether it's DLC or full-blown game or whatever it is, okay, it's your personal political views, regardless of their validity or non-validity, doesn't really matter to the product itself. I mean, you're supposed to be kind of above that in a sense. Everybody has their own personal feelings, and they're all valid. I mean, you may perceive injustice somewhere, you may perceive discriminatory practices, you may look upon a certain group of people as bad or good or whatever it is. Some of that is very naive and childish, sophomoric even, but you're hiring people based on that. You're hiring people based on their political stance or their political views. It's just like nepotism or people that get hired because of their associations, not necessarily their qualifications. So if you're hiring as with associations as your first priority, that means that the customer and the product are not the highest priority. And a company that engages in commerce where the customer and the product are not the highest priority will fail. If you want to make a political statement, good. Do so on the weekend. Go march. Go do whatever you want. Go fund, groups or belong to groups or contribute to groups that, propound your personal philosophy. But Bioware went down a very strange road with Andromeda, and it's one of those things where what I find, and I want to keep this as politically generic as I possibly can, but they literally had leadership and employees or designers that were openly in contempt of their own customer base. If you want to think about demographics, who is the major demographic that's purchasing a Bioware game? I'm not going to answer that question for you, but maybe I'll ask that of Bioware. Who's buying your game? Who's your customer? Who's reviewing it? Who's doing gameplay and video and multiplayer and Twitch streams and, live plays and, who's doing all that? Are you in contempt of those people? Because it shows. It shows. So what I would say to Bioware is, you went down a strange path. You're one of my favorite developers, but you have walked too far down a particular path to remain viable as a game company. And I mean that. You've gone down a path where association is a higher priority than qualifications. You hire the best people. If those people are all of a certain group or gender or whatever, if that's what you're pulling, if that's the talented people that you need to produce the best product, that's what you do. Now, if you want to encourage diversity, which I think is a worthy pursuit, and you want to contribute or even establish an educational center to encourage diversity so that you can pull from that talent pool, and they're on par with the talent pool that you would get organically or from the general public. Beautiful. You would be lauded for that. But it would be judged by the quality of the product. You have abandoned quality for political motivations. As a company, you produce a product. Again, the product has fallen from priority. Something that Bethesda does not suffer from. Do I know the demographics of the Bethesda company? Do I understand how many, what their level of diversity is in their development staff? No. I don't care, because they produce an outstanding product. Whatever their selection process is, I don't need to know, because the product is beyond outstanding. I mean, they produce games of a depth and, aesthetic, you name it, that rival anything being produced. If I would say they are the preeminent game developer at this time, you should be modeling yourself on them, because you were a developer that I saw that was on par with them at one time. And you took your cornerstone property and turned it into a political platform. Regardless of whether or not that platform is legitimate or not, doesn't matter. It has taken the priority over selecting the appropriate people to do the appropriate job, to do the best possible job. You have strayed from excellence into some other place. I don't know what it is. But because of that, and because of the obvious flaws of the game, the weirdness, the ghost figures, I don't even have to get into it, man. I'm not gonna make this a long one. I just did my big fat Andromeda rant. So it's gonna be boycotted. I'm not gonna purchase it. I'm not gonna buy it at all. Even if I'm curious about the game, even if I purchased every other one for multiple platforms and purchased all the DLC for every single one of your games, I'm one of those. I've got merch out there. I've got Mass Effect merch out there. I've got the ship on a stand, and I'm one of those. Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 1. Purchased all the DLC. Played them through multiple times. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. One of the best games, one of the best adventures I've ever had. Mass Effect 2 in particular. I think we all agree that 2 is probably the best. But 3 was excellent, dramatic, and worthy, and the invasion of Earth, and all the rest of that. So, really came to like the characters, played through, and had to figure out, made sure all my team survived, and carried my characters over from the other, my game data from the other 2 games, and the whole thing. You had a guaranteed sucker right here. But I'm not going to be suckered into purchasing that mess. So both reasons are good enough. Either one is enough on its own. So the glitchiness, the bugginess, the facial animations, etc., you didn't have the right people on the train. You need to get the right people on the bus, or whatever you want to call it. Get the right people on the bus, and you put the wrong people on the bus. And you turned it into some kind of political debate. Political statement, which is ridiculous. Why? You purposely uglified characters? So you hired models, you created facial models from these very beautiful people, but you created facial models from the models themselves, and then you uglified them. What a terrific waste of resources. Again, you can tell that there was not a cohesive focus on quality. And whatever you were trying to achieve, because if you're going to sabotage your product for a political reason, what was your goal? Do you think you achieved that goal via this game's failure? I don't think so. I don't think you achieved anything, but diminished your reputation in the industry and with gamers who don't soon forget unless you haven't figured that out yet. So maybe you should get on the Banhammer bandwagon and see what you can do with EA to, limit dialogue and free speech on your game. But other than that, I don't know what you've achieved here at all. And you've lost a customer. Some companies, in their arrogance, when they get big, think it's fine to lose customers. We lost customers, we still got plenty of customers. It won't last forever. Everybody thought the same thing. Sears, Radio Shack, do I need to go on? Kmart, even Walmart is closing stores at an unbelievable rate. So consider these words, Bioware, and right the ship, because it's already sinking. And your association with EA, you got to consider that as well. I've been privy to certain meetings with doing damage control on businesses, and what's key is that you act quickly and you act with certainty and you refocus your entire organization on quality, and you get rid of those individuals that express hatred or violence to anyone, and you do it with alacrity. Otherwise, the chains that are on your brand right now will pull you down into the depths, and you will not return in the form that you are now, if at all. So, this became much more serious than I wanted it to be, but I'm going to be boycotting Mass Effect Andromeda. Quality's not there, Bioware. The politics is just like, what are you thinking? And you basically hired people on your teams based on association, political or otherwise, rather than qualification. With that being said, this is the boycott of Mass Effect Andromeda on the Fancy Action Now. For the people. Something, and now for something, and now for someone something wicked this week. Something wicked, yeah. Something now for someone wicked. Must find no must.